All right, well, we're going to dive into the NHL playoffs here on this channel. So after 21 years, the Colorado Avalanche have returned to the Western Conference Finals with the Edmonton Oilers, the only team that is left standing between them and their first Stanley Cup Final appearance since 2001. So, Ryan, which Avalanche player needs to step up the most against Edmonton?
Man, Luke, it's a great question. I have a decent amount of players, so I can just nod off one, or I can talk more than one. I don't know what you want here, but first and foremost, I think Darcy Kuemper has to step up. I've been telling my family and everything, even in the second series against the Blues, like, he's a mediocre goalie. Everyone just thinks he's so good because he has a good team in front of him. I believe he's 5-3 in the playoffs. I could be wrong about that, but I think he's 5-3. Or 5-2, one of the two. But the only reason he's that good is just because his team is that good and they score goals in front of him. But I mean, you could see in games 2, 4, and 5 in the Blues series, he was letting up like 3, 4, 5 goals a game. And if that happens against the Oilers, they're going to be in big trouble. Right now, he's looking like the Minnesota Wild Talbot, and they Darcy Kuemper, and they need the Arizona one back. So he knows what he has to do. You know, he's got to step up because you can't let McJesus and company just run rapid around him, because that will not be good. But, you know, defense has to step up as well. Steven Girardi's out for the rest of the playoffs. So in steps Cale Makar and Bauer Balaam. Oh, I cannot pronounce.
Byram. Yeah. Byram. Yeah.
So they really need to step up together. I mean, Cale Makar, you know, he's going to step up. I really have no problems there. I don't think he was the best in the St. Louis series, but I mean, he will find ways to get himself on the score sheet because he's just that good. But yeah, it's going to be Kuemper. He can't let up more than 3 goals a game or they could be in trouble, because I think that the Oilers are a really good team. I think a lot of people actually thought the Flames may have beat them in the Battle of Alberta. But the Oilers obviously just handed it to them in 5. So it's quite crazy. And, you know, it's going to be a very fun, exciting series. Both of the teams can skate, and that's something that the Blues lacked in their second series. And that's kind of, I think, how the Avalanche kind of more took advantage of them. Then again, Avalanche are just a better team. The Avalanche were a great regular season team. But yeah, Darcy Kuemper, he was showing Vezina Trophy saves in the regular season. He needs to get back to that point in this Oilers series, because if he doesn't, it could be really bad for the Avalanche.
Well, I 100% agree with you, because Darcy Kuemper is also my player to step up here. Now, obviously, when you have a team in front of you in terms of a defense, obviously, like you said, Sam Girard is out for the rest of the playoffs. But when you got dudes like Bowen Barm, you got Eric Johnson, you got Jack Johnson, you got Cale Makar, you got Josh Manson. When you got these dudes in front of you playing hard-nosed defense, and I would say grade A defense about every now and every night, which Josh Manson was the defenseman that actually saved that goal. Otherwise, Jordan Kyrou would have had another goal, because Darcy Kuemper, he was so committed to going to the left that he forgot to get back in the crease, because Kyrou hasn't even snapped the shot quite yet. But that's nor here or there. When we're talking about Darcy Kuemper, we were talking about a team that he versed in terms of the St. Louis Blues. We're talking about Rylan O'Reilly. We're talking about Jordan Kyrou. We're talking about Braden Shen, Brandon Saad, you name all these players. But now you have to play players in the names of Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl, Evander Kane, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, Zach Hyman, who has been on a tear, Kyler Yamamoto. These are names that the Blues do not have. And quite frankly, 3 of those players that I just named are better than anyone on the Blues. So this is going to be a test for Darcy Kuemper and what he's able to bring to the table, because I'm telling you right now, he was extremely disappointing in that series against St. Louis and could have cost them the series, simply because the dude, if you did not know this, did not have a 90 save percentage in that series. He had less, which is really,
892.
Yes, quite embarrassing. And Ryan, as we notice as the years have progressed, the road to the Stanley Cup Final, as it narrows, it's really clear that goaltending is actually central to a team's championship aspirations. Now, however, the road for teams in their netminders, right, it's not always the same. But in the Eastern Conference, we can look in the back-to-back defending Stanley Cup champions in Tampa Bay. They have the best goalie in the world, and Andrei Vasilevsky. And then their potential opponents in the Eastern Final, the New York Rangers, They have the Hart and Vezina Trophy finalist and Igor Shesterkin between the pipes. So we look between those two, then we go to the West, and then we see Mike Smith and Darcy Kemper, which is basically comparing apples to oranges. But that's a story for a different day. But the thing is, the Avalanche are not going to be thriving in the Western Conference Finals because of Darcy Kemper. They're going to be thriving because of Nathan MacKinnon, Mikko Rantanen, Nazem Kadri, Gabriel Landeskog. We're talking all about these players, Burakovsky. But the Avalanche, as we've noticed, they have sported a recent history of their goaltenders falling flat in the playoffs, right? And for a moment, it appeared as though the affliction had infected Darcy Kemper as well. And sure enough, it has, because like you said, in a regular season, he played at a Vezina Trophy level, which is ironic because you know who did that last year for the Colorado Avalanche? Philip Grubauer. And then he fell in the playoffs last year. And look what happened to him this year. But that's nor here or there. But in the first round in the Nashville Predators, right, he stopped 57 out of 61 shots. So that's a .934 save percentage. And then we look what he did against the Blues, which is good awful, right? The Avalanche were dominant 5-5. They actually took 60.5% of those shots. And I would say they compiled, according to this, 63% of scoring chances. But when you look at how abysmal that Darcy Kemper was, he is going to have to elevate his game. He's going to have to stop being so committed to one side of the net, because you know what Connor McDavid could do with his toe drags and his puck handling skills, what he's able to do. Darcy Kemper is going to look completely out of place, all sorts, because you saw what Jacob Markstrom did. He was a Vezina finalist, and he looked like trash against the Oilers. So Darcy Kemper is going to have to step up.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you, you mentioned Mikko Rantanen, 36
he needs to
goals.
Step up. He needs to step up big time.
He does. I mean, 36 goals in the regular season, 1 goal through 2 rounds. That's quite crazy. So definitely going to have to step up. I don't know if Bednar's going to go back to the Rantanen the 3 dogs, the McKinnon, Rantanen, and Landeskog line, because I know he's been kind of switching things around. But I do think that line, my opinion, I think they should go back to it, and I think that it could be good for them, because in this series, like you said, it's not about really goaltending. Both the goaltenders are god awful. And then you just talk about the skating from both teams. They're both very fast, and I think obviously you have David McDavid, good job. Connor McDavid on one side, and then you have Nathan MacKinnon, 2 guys who can really lead their teams. And I think that this series is really just going to come down to which one of those guys is going to lead the team, or which one of those guys on that line. Who even knows? It could be a third, a second line, or even a fourth line showing up big in this series. And I think, honestly, that's what's going to have to happen. I honestly think, you saw in the Blues series, the Blues were able to shut down the first line, but the Avalanche had other lines that just got hot, and they're just going to need to keep doing that. I mean, I don't even know who the dude is that scored the game winner for them in 4.9. I think his last
Aaron
name
Helm.
Yeah, I don't even know who that guy is, and I've watched hockey for so long. So it's like they're going to need guys like that to really step up and just score when it matters, because that's what the Avalanche did. And I'm not even going to say it was a lucky goal. That was a great shot. He came out, and no Blues player was even on him. Beautiful shot. But like you said, that's neither here or there. But it's going to be a good series, man. They're both really fast. I was telling my friends and family, I'm like, hey, listen, if the Blues go out, this is going to be a good series. Oilers and Avalanche is going to be really good. And then correct me if I'm wrong, with the Oilers, isn't this like the first time in a while making it this far?
Yes, it is.
Both of the teams. Okay.
So I do want to ask you this question. Obviously, I'm putting you on the spot for this, but what is your series predictions? Excuse me.
No, it's not a bad. I'm very excited, talk about this. Obviously, I don't see it going 4 or 5. I think it's going to go the length. It's going to go 6 or 7. To me, I want to say, and this, I'm like, I do not like the Avalanche, but they're just so good this year. I do think the Avalanche get this thing done in 6. I mean, McDavid can push it to 7. The team can push it to 7. Kemper could choke and push it to 7. But the Avalanche just have a different view, man. Dude, they're 6-0 on the road. Like, that is just crazy. And then at home, they're really good as well. And a guy that needs to get going, though, for them at home, and I'm not, going to try to start anything, because I know that he had a lot of big issues from, Blues fans in the second round. But Nazem Kadri has looked like a ghost at home. So he needs to get things going. On the road, he's been great. So I think that if the Avalanche play really good on the road, they can take every game on the road. So, I think the Avalanche are home. Are they not? They have home ice?
Yes, they do.
Okay, so my prediction is going to be a split for the first 2 games, and
Okay.
then the Avalanche will win the games 3 and 4, and then game 5 and 6, those can be toss-up games. But after, if the Avalanche win 2 straight or even just go on a big tear, they're not going to lose. I mean, what they did in game 5 against the Blues is just unacceptable, and they know that, and they don't want to feel that feeling again. So I think that they're just going to go on a tear. But then again, you have Edmonton on the other side, and they're really good as well. But I think the Avalanche will get this thing done in 6.
So you talk about that, and I agree with you. At the end of the day, the Edmonton Oilers, what they need to do, what the Blues learned after a really outplayed game 1, but somehow forced overtime.
6 post.
6 posts, exactly.
Goodness.
What they need to learn is to slow down this team. If the Edmonton Oilers or Tyson Barrie, Evan Bouchard, Duncan Key, Darnell Nurse, if they could not slow down these Avalanche offensive players, this is going to be over in 5. But I feel like they are going to be able to do something, because Mike Smith in the Los Angeles series and the Calgary series, the dude had a couple of 40-plus save nights. The dude can still play somehow. I don't know how, but he can, because that's been apparent this year. But because of him, and because the defense decides to show up once in a while, and because of the offensive prowess that they have on the opposite side of the puck, I feel like this is also going to go 6 in favor of the Avalanche. The Avalanche, like you said, Ryan, and everyone knows this, they're too tough to stop. I mean, sure, you can slow them down here and there like the Blues did in game 5 in the 3rd period, where they decided to take their foot off the gas. But that's only 1 period. You got to play a 3 full periods against this Avalanche team, and you're not going to beat them all 3 periods. So I have the Avs in 6 in this series.
Yeah, let me just flip a question to you real quick. Just give me players to watch on both teams for this series.
Yeah, sure. So obviously for the Oilers, the X factor, of course, is Connor McDavid himself. This dude is going to show up, whether that's scoring goals or whether that's assisting passes. I mean, obviously we saw it in game 5 against Calgary with Leon Draisaitl to find Connor McDavid in the low slot, which was a gorgeous pass, by the way, in his part. But the other thing, and by the way, I do want to give Connor McDavid some credit. The dude goes all the way to the net and makes something out of nothing. He does it every time. As soon as he gets near you, you should be scared. But I will say this, for the Colorado Avalanche, I would say the person that needs to be watching is Nathan MacKinnon. Nathan MacKinnon and Connor McDavid. This should be a series for the ages, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm really excited because obviously these two are definitely the top dogs in the NHL right now, and they're going at it against each other for a chance for the Stanley Cup appearance. And I mean, I just want to see if McKinnon can go coast to coast again. That was by far one of the best playoff goals I've seen in my life. That was unreal. And better yet, I want to see if McDavid can top that.
All right, we're going to leave it at that. Everyone, thanks for tuning in for Around the Waves, our first episode here of the NHL playoffs. Tune in for more as we'll continue to make more episodes, and y'all have a good day.